it's Jimmy, and I'm your favorite non-binary femme who likes to be self-sustaining. Okay, maybe I'm not your favorite, but at least I get to tell you lots of things on what I do. So one of the ways that I'm self-sustaining is I actually work on my own vehicle and my own bike. I ride a bicycle. How many speeds it is, I can't remember, but I try to do all the work on my car and my bike by myself. But I'm in a very privileged position where I know bike mechanics and I also know mechanics who teach me how to work on my vehicle, so I'm more able. Things I've done is like change my brakes, change my rotors, I've changed the bearing, which is an encapsulated bearing because it's a 1991 Honda Accord. I have changed the vehicle speed sensor. I've changed, when I had my Ford, I changed the AC motor, which was, let me tell you, a task and a half. At the time, I had a wonderful partner who was willing to help me, but over time that relationship got a little toxic. So we parted ways and we don't talk anymore. And that's okay. Sometimes you don't get the closure you need, but you definitely get the space you need when you remove yourself from relationships that are no longer serving you. And by serving you, I mean, maybe they're not the healthiest to begin with, so maybe your mental health is better off without them. So, how to be self-sustaining? Well, having a good mental health is one way to start, and being supportive of your own mental health. Knowing your limitations and your boundaries is really important. So for example, one of my limitations is I get dizzy. So having a secondary person to help and working close to the ground is important to me. Sometimes you'll find me sitting doing things or with a stool so I can support myself while I do things on my vehicle. To support my mental health, I always have someone that I can check in with. So if I'm working on my car or I'm working on my bike, I just check in. If I'm working on my mental health, well, sometimes having a group of friends, I have at least 5 friends that I can talk to at any time, and I can say, hey, I'm having a mental health crisis, and one of them can message me, or 2 of them can message me, or however many, just to see where I'm at. So it's never on one person to help me out, because it shouldn't be just one person's responsibility to deal with your mental health. You should have a mental health team. I also go to therapy, both one-on-one, group therapy, and then I go to peer support groups, as well as I have a peer support worker. With all that, I also have a GP, and I'm working on getting a psychologist and a neurologist because I'm having some neurological and, well, not so great psychological issues that could be because I am misdiagnosed, maybe not on the right medication, but we're not sure about that. So far, my medication is working really well, and I'm happy to be on it. But some things, you change over time. So that's one of the ways that I can be self-sustaining. I can take care of my mental health, and I can have people in my life who are willing to help me, because resources in the community are so important. If you can't have a friend specifically that can help you, try joining a queer spoon share and seeing if anyone can help you who is in that field. For example, like say you want to learn carpentry. Well, if you can find someone in the carpentry field who is not only a spoonie but also queer, that's awesome, because spoonie just means someone who has different abilities or disabilities, as a lot of people are taking that term back, and then queer, it encompasses the entire LGBTQIA+ community. I'm very pro asking marginalized groups for helping for other marginalized groups, but if you are a cis hetero white person, maybe taking the time to find other cis hetero white people is for you. But if you found my channel, you're probably not cis, hetero, and white. And if you are, I don't know if this content's for you, but if you like it, keep coming back. So we're taking care of our mental health. We've got to take care of our body, so that means eating. Eating as much as you can healthily. So for me, eating 2 meals a day is usually what's good for me, and having a couple of snacks. That's usually where I'm sitting about healthy. I struggled with anorexia for a really long time, over a decade. And I still have days where I have a really hard time with it. My body is at the heaviest it's ever been, and it has the most curves that it's ever had. And that's really hard for me. So that could be another reason why my mental health can tank at times. but making sure I eat lots of fruit, lots of veggies, and a sustainable protein that works for me. Sustainable as in it sustains your body, not the environment. Farming practices are wild, and I don't want to get into it on this channel, but if you are curious, definitely look into how farming practices work, because 1 acre of land per each dietary need is a lot different, and how much water it consumes is way up there. So for me, drinking lots of water and then limiting what I intake. So I don't do drugs and I don't intake alcohol. Now I do smoke cigarettes, but it's something that I'm hoping to quit in the near future because it just doesn't seem to be sustainable for me. I used to vape, but I'm poor. And I was going through vapes too fast, so cigarettes were just something that worked for me. So we have sustaining our mind, sustaining our body, looking for help in our communities, looking for resources that work for us, and then doing the work. It's really important that if you're looking for resources, that you're putting in the work and the effort to do it, what they're teaching you. So if you're having too many issues, maybe finding a low-cost mechanic or a low-cost person to help you, that maybe you buy the parts and they'll put them in your vehicle for you. For me, it means I buy the parts, I do the labor, I get the know-how from trained professionals. Some other things that are sustaining for me is doing co-ops. So I live in a cooperative housing where it's 3 families living together and we have a farm, and it's super sustainable for us. So the way we do our farm practices is really important for us, and we use it to not only sustain the family, but to sustain the environment. We do things as well as we can to keep the environment as protected as possible. So that's really important to us and important to me as a sustaining thing. So for you, it might be having a balcony garden or going to a cooperative housing unit or a cooperative farm unit. So like a city garden, or maybe going to help the local university for their agricultural program, because a lot of times they are looking for volunteers. If they're not advertising it, you can always ask and see if they are. And that could be a wonderful way to sustain yourself and get you outside. I think getting outside is really important. I'm trying to get outside at least once a day and going for a walk. Now, everybody's abilities are different. Some people can't walk, and that's okay. But even sitting outside on your balcony or sitting on the sidewalk can do wonders for your mental health and your body, just getting some sunshine on you. Those are my ways of sustaining myself, and I think they're important, and I think they work well for other people. Keeping a tidy house is also important to sustaining yourself, and doing things that is generally healthy, like hygiene, cleanliness, organization, stuff like that really do help the mind and the body and can really turn things around. Now, sometimes it's really hard, so I try. Sometimes laughter is the best medicine, and it really helps me. I try to laugh every day, do something funny, see something funny, or just do something that makes me laugh. Another thing I started doing is I give myself about 10 minutes a day to just have self-pity. After that, no more pity parties, and I just go on with my day. It's kind of cathartic, and it's really nice to have that moment of like, yep, I'm acknowledging how I'm feeling. Things are kind of shitty. All right, what can I do to make them better? But having that dedicated time is really important. Now, I don't go, oh, it's noon, I have to have my pity party. But I do talk to friends about things that are bothering me, and then I go, okay, what's your check-in? How are you feeling? And then I move the conversation. Having time with resources with friends and sharing the resources with friends of mental health is really important. Making sure you're not overburdening someone with your mental health is key. You want to make sure you're not burning anyone else out, as well as, burning yourself out. So I hope those tips work for you, and I hope those are ways that you can incorporate into your own life, whether you live in a cooperative or you're taking time for your mental health or you're having your own pity party. But that's how I am self-sustaining in my own. There are some other things that I do that help out living in the cooperative. I don't cook usually. I have friends cook for me, but that's not an option for a lot of people. So I kind of want to check my privilege at the door and not talk about things that I'm overprivileged on. But with that being said, I want to know your tips and tricks to be self-sustaining, and have a wonderful night. As always, me and Peaches love you, and bye for now.